Blessings, namaste, and love everyone. I am Spiritualist, Psychic, Astrologer, and Medium, Sette. Once again, I thank you for offering me this opportunity to share with you my astrological and spiritual insights. And in this video, we are looking to the month of November 2021. Isn't it amazing? We are almost finished with yet another extraordinary year, and November will begin our eclipse season. We have an eclipse in November and December, and I will touch upon the eclipse that we will be having on November 19th in this video. So we begin November on November 4th with a new moon. Now, as you've heard me touch upon in past videos, how the balsamic moon phase prepares us for the next lunar cycle, which begins on the new moon. Now, the balsamic moon phase will begin on November 1st, and the exact time for that, for those who are interested, is 5:28 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And as I have highlighted in the past, that is the auspicious opportunity to prepare for the coming lunar cycle. During the balsamic moon phase, we reflect on all that came together for us since the last new moon, and we clear the slate, energetically prepare ourselves for the next lunar cycle. And the new moon is on November 4th. The exact time of the new moon is 5:14 p.m. and that's Eastern Daylight Time. Now, our new moon on the 4th is in the sign of Scorpio. Now, Scorpio is one of the most intense psychic signs. The Scorpio element gives us an opportunity to recognize our own personal, unique connections with the spirit realm. I've shared this insight many times, how I believe that we all have these connections with spirit. We're always not taught to recognize how we personally, uniquely interact with the spirit realm. And that being said, it doesn't suggest that every one of us is to conduct psychic readings per se. These are tools for us that have been provided to us by spirit to assist us in navigating this human encounter. As always, I do suggest for us to recognize our personal connection with the spirit realm, whether it be our loved ones, our spirit guides. Those beings are very much part of our human journey, even though they may not necessarily be in physical form, even though some of our loved ones, many of our loved ones have transitioned into the spirit realm. They are continually part of our journey, and certainly we don't always see them, but we can feel them. When the sun transits the sign of Scorpio, and with this Scorpio new moon, we are inspired to really recognize those connections, honor our loved ones who have transitioned into spirit, as we do during the time of the sun's transit in Scorpio. But this is an opportunity for you to really recognize your own psychic intuitiveness, your own psychic faculty, so that you are very aware of how spirit is guiding you. So the Scorpio energy is also very, very intense. It's ruled by the planet Pluto, which is the most intense of all the energies. But that intensity connects with great willpower and determination. Scorpio can be very determined. It sometimes can also be very, very dark. All signs, all planets have a positive and a negative polarity to them. It doesn't mean that one is bad or one is good. Bad or good is really just a judgment. We refer to the negative and positive as being vibrations. And I like to use the analogy that just as a battery has a positive and a negative charge to it, doesn't mean that one is necessarily good, better, or more significant than the other. It's just a different vibrational frequency. At a low vibration, Scorpio can be very, very dark and can connect with some very deep, dark, negative energy, if you will. However, at the highest vibration, Scorpio is a very bright light. It connects with great power. The lower vibration of that power is one who desires and endeavors to inflict its power over another, to control another. The positive side is that we recognize that this element is here for us so that we empower ourselves. We direct the energy of our own life, and it provides us the opportunity to recognize our ability to manifest, to bring to form our desires. These are some of the most positive Scorpio and Pluto elements. The ability to rise above what might seem to be an insurmountable challenge. Again, Scorpio has a very strong sense of dedication and determination and willpower, and the ability to manifest. Scorpio is the one that represents transformation, and exactly how, or excuse me, when a caterpillar transforms into a butterfly, that metamorphosis experience is very much part of the Scorpio Pluto elements. Wherever Scorpio exists, the Scorpio element exists in our chart, can potentially indicate where there may be some of the deepest, darkest in our lives. Not as, again, not being something bad. That might be an indication of where perhaps lies your greatest challenges, which really are opportunities for you to rise above so that you might know your power. And as I said many times, when we recognize that power, when we welcome that power, certainly from the place of love and humility, we become the master of our destiny. If for whatever reason, perhaps you might be afraid of really connecting with your own power in whatever form or however you might understand that to be, I refer to it as our ability to work with energy and direct that energy towards creating our desires, not only for ourselves, but for others as well. And I keep these explanations very, very simple because sometimes they can be quite complicated, and we can certainly go off and digress in many, many tangents if we certainly allow ourselves to do so. But with this Scorpio new moon, allow yourself to recognize your own personal ability to manifest. And if you have any fear of that, you clear that fear away during that balsamic moon phase. Scorpio also connects with deep-seated fears. It can be surrounded by much fear. So what I would suggest leading up to the new moon, once again, we talk about fear a lot these days. Reflect on where there may be some fear remaining still present in your lives, and allow yourself at the time of the balsamic moon to clear away that fear. And by being so, by clearing away, by having that courage to clear away that fear, observe how you transform. Remember, transformation, metamorphosis, it's another element, it's another constituent of that Scorpio archetype. All of the signs have a great purpose and potential. We just need to understand how to work with the energy. Remember, when we allow ourselves to work with the energy, to go with the flow, certainly with grace and ease, then whatever challenges may be presented to us, which these challenges are opportunities to rise above and know your power and what you're capable of, what you are able to accomplish when being presented with certain experiences. I always suggest and inspire us to view these experiences as opportunities to know your greatness. So at this time, with this our Scorpio new moon, allow yourself the courage to really recognize that power within yourself. When this power is misconstrued, when it's misqualified, when it's misdirected, it's one who controls, manipulates others, mainly for personal gain. Scorpio is also the sign, it's connected to the 8th house in the natural zodiac. That is where we recognize and where we understand where we have the return on our investments. It connects with what's referred to as other people's money that comes to you through inheritance, a winnings perhaps. If you want to look at it perhaps from a monetary perspective, if for whatever reason you may have some hesitation of receiving many blessings, specifically monetarily, perhaps this Scorpio moon is a time to allow yourselves to receive the return on your investments in whatever that might be. It doesn't necessarily have to be monetarily. The Scorpio element and the 8th house sector of the chart is the return on our investments. Again, not necessarily specific to monetary related manners. Many times we have experiences where we don't feel worthy, we do not feel deserving, and that low vibrational element pushes many things away from us. So often we are working towards achieving a goal, and we feel as though we are just treading water and we're on that hamster wheel and we may not necessarily be getting somewhere. It could be perhaps because we have a fear of receiving what we truly desire. So if that might be the case, I suggest to release that fear of welcoming and receiving your desires during that balsamic moon phase. Because also look at it from this perspective. When we have the opportunity to really receive what we desire and our greatest joys and our greatest ambitions, whatever that might be, that experience allows us to transform, and we raise our vibration. So I suggest allow yourself to be okay with receiving many returns on all the investments you have set forth. And again, it's not necessarily specific to anything monetarily. So we have a couple of planets changing signs in November. On November 5th at 6:44 a.m., Venus will transit into the sign of Capricorn. Venus requires about a month to transit each sign. Venus in Capricorn, ideally, Venus is at home in Taurus or Libra. In Capricorn, it's not necessarily the most favorable placement for Venus, because if you look at it this way, Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Saturn is very cold and icy. When Venus goes into Capricorn, our relationships, we can have experiences with relationships, especially new relationships, new social settings, can appear somewhat cold and icy, if you will. It's not necessarily a favorable time to begin a new relationship when Venus transits the sign of Capricorn. Certainly it is not suggested to have a marriage experience when Venus goes into Capricorn, because it could perhaps cause the emotions to be somewhat deadened, somewhat numb. When Venus is in Capricorn, it may be a more favorable opportunity to maybe work on your relationships, because again, you have that Saturn element placed in. Saturn creates stability, longevity. So if you are already in a relationship experience, as a suggestion, perhaps it's time to dedicate a few moments to recognizing what might need to be addressed, what might need to be corrected during or regarding the romantic or personal relationship, because that is an opportunity to really strengthen those already existing relationships. As I said, it's not necessarily suggested to begin a relationship during Venus transit of Capricorn, in as much it's maybe a more favorable time to work and strengthen an already existing relationship. So if you find that your relationships do need a little bit of work, which they do every once in a while, not a bad thing, but those are opportunities to strengthen what's already there. And that's one suggestion as to how to work with that Venus in Capricorn transit. Actually, on the same day, later in the day, Mercury will transit into the sign of Scorpio, and that's at 6:35 p.m. Now, Mercury connects with the energy of the mind, and I've suggested for us to recognize that the mind is not specific. The element of the mind is not specific to just the organ of the brain. The mind exists in every cell of our physical form. It's more of a vibrational essence. When Mercury goes into Scorpio, the mind is very strong, very, very, very determined. It can also go potentially to some very, very dark places if we allow ourselves to really have that experience. But Mercury in Scorpio, it strengthens the determination and the power of the mind. You see how that works there? But we have to be very careful that we don't allow ourselves to perhaps go down less than favorable roads regarding the journeys of our mind. Because as I was referring to earlier about that Scorpio element, how it can potentially connect with some deep-seated darkness with Mercury in Scorpio, the mind may have a tendency to go to dark places. Now remember, exactly how a planet or sign's energy will demonstrate itself for us personally is dependent upon where it's placed in the chart and what other factors are energizing that specific sign and placement. One person may have, for example, a Mercury and Scorpio in their chart and have a very strong will and determination and power of the mind. Another individual may find that they're continually going to very, very dark places. Again, not bad or good, wrong or right, just specific to the individual's journey. But how all these energies will demonstrate themselves or present opportunities for us personally is very much dependent on their placements and how they relate to the other planets in the chart. This is why I do not advise offering much weight to horoscopes, because they're very generic. When we look at a chart, there's so many factors that we have to take into consideration to really delineate and arrive at a conclusion that is specific for a client and for an individual. Now, as I said at the beginning of this video, November begins our next eclipse season, and on November 19th we have a lunar eclipse. It's in the sign of Taurus, and the exact moment of the lunar eclipse is 5:03 a.m. 4:03 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're switching to Standard Time, and I forgot to make that adjustment there. With an eclipse, it's a lunar eclipse, so it's a full moon. It's an energized full moon. With the eclipse, I suggest, one, reflect on what was occurring during the last eclipse season, which was in May of 2021, and the last lunar eclipse was on May 26th of 2021. But also 3 months prior to the eclipse event, we begin to feel what is coming for us. So reflect on what was taking place for you at the time of the August full moon, which was, I believe, on August 20th. That is the trigger point for this coming lunar eclipse on November 19th. A lunar eclipse, just as a full moon, will bring to fruition all that was coming together for us during a single lunar cycle. With a lunar eclipse, it brings it to fruition, it culminates energy that has been in motion for a considerable period of time. It could be something that was beginning 6 months ago. It might even connect with something that was taking place 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago, maybe even longer. Again, it's specific to how it's all coming together for us in the charts. Now, our full moon lunar eclipse, it's in the sign of Taurus. Taurus connects with many things. One of the elements that we are most aware of is money-related matters. So many money-related situations could certainly be coming to a head for us personally, as well as on a global economic level. Many times when there's an eclipse in either Taurus or Scorpio, because Taurus and Scorpio are polar opposites, it does signify a major turning point economically. Positive or negative, we'll have to observe how all of this unfolds for us. And that goes back to something else regarding an eclipse. An eclipse in and of itself, just like many astrological phenomena, they're not necessarily positive or negative in and of itself. With an eclipse, how it will all unfold is dependent upon what we have set in motion up until that point, and then it all comes together for us. So if we are generating much negative energy, negative karma, then that's the culmination of what we will experience at that time. Full moons, there are also another opportunities to release and cleanse, but on a very, very deep level. You know, this as I was referring to earlier about the Taurus element, money-related matters, abundance not only monetarily. Taurus connects with our creature comforts. It's ruled by Venus, so it does connect with creativity, artists, and musicians. If for any reason you are feeling, so many of us throughout our lives, we don't feel worthy, we don't feel deserving, this is a great opportunity to really just fortify that knowing within yourself that you are very much worthy and deserving of all that you desire. And this full moon lunar eclipse could very much be an opportunity to really awaken to that, because a full moon, it's a culmination, it brings together, it awakens, it heightens. So if there's something dormant that's within yourself, certainly it's going to heighten whatever that might be, again depending upon where it's all fitting in your chart. But just for the purposes of this video, because I can only keep things somewhat general, I don't always like to do that, but for this platform it's necessary. And I do trust that whatever I'm seeing, but also to whatever I'm feeling in spirit is showing me, is exactly what someone needs, whoever hears these words. You know, a few years ago, actually, it was about a year and a half ago, with the eclipses which took place in June of 2020, and that was specific to the eclipse on the summer solstice of June 21st of that year. Among many things, that was a favorable opportunity for us to set in motion, to plant the seeds of whatever may be our ideal lives for us. So what I would suggest, because this eclipse is actually close to that, to some of the points that were really being energized at that time. So I would suggest reflecting a little bit further back on the last year and a half, if you will. Have you allowed yourself to really pursue your ideal life, whatever that might be for you? Can you imagine what you would truly enjoy to experience, where you would feel as though all that your hopes, all your dreams, all your desires would come to form and be shared with you? Remember, there's no reason why we can't enjoy these great desires. Many times it's because we don't allow ourselves to really receive what we desire. Whenever we allow ourselves to really enjoy the fruit of our labor, look at it from this perspective. You are in a much higher vibrational frequency, and by you being in that frequency, that is the energy that you're radiating out to the all of humanity. So as we go through this eclipse season, I certainly suggest to allow yourself to welcome many, many, many blessings into your lives. Remember, by you being in a high vibrational place, that's the energy, that's the element, those are the vibrational frequencies that you're generating out to the all of humanity. Also, Venus ruled Taurus, because it's Venus, it does connect with that love element. Also, Taurus does connect us with personal expression. I always suggest for us to be very loving in all our expressions and with all those who we communicate with. Taurus rules the vocal cords. Many times when there's a strong Taurus element in a chart, an individual has a very strong voice, a voice which can project like, kind of like an opera singer. Taurus is actually, or rather, opera singers are represented by Taurus. If you kind of look some of those opera singers with the bull horns, Taurus the bull, you kind of see how that fits in there. But I'm sorry, I digress. But what I was emphasizing is perhaps on this lunar eclipse, just allow yourself to receive all the many blessings that you truly desire. So, once again, I'm spiritualist, psychic, astrologer, and medium Ray Sette. I thank you for allowing me this opportunity to share with you some of the many, many astrological alignments and phenomena that takes place during a certain period of time. On November 15th, as I am so excited every year, I will begin my next residency at the Mystical Moons, both in Fort Myers and in Bonita Springs. If you'd like to enjoy some time with me and we can sit and just talk about all of this on a more personal level, certainly you can contact the senders to schedule time with me. I will be there through November 30th. As always, I'm very excited to meet with everyone personally. It's a wonderful opportunity to share with you all these insights in this platform. It's even more exciting when we can really just kind of sit, interact, and talk about this and so many, many, many things. Once again, I thank you for this opportunity. Remain in the light, always in a place of love, and also please enjoy a most blessed and safe Thanksgiving. It's the holiday that is most associated with gratitude, and even though it may not seem so, and sometimes it might be difficult or challenging to see, there are many, many, many blessings for all of us to be abundantly grateful for. And I am abundantly grateful for this opportunity of sharing with you these insights. Many blessings, stay in the light, and always in a place of love.